All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to give your academic and professional grammar a seriously sleek makeover by mastering the art of the embedded question. Now, if you've ever felt like your formal writing lacks a certain punch, or maybe it just feels a little too conversational for a high-level exam or a corporate report, you are in exactly the right place. We are taking aim at one very specific language habit and upgrading it straight to a CEFR C1 advanced standard. We've got a super clear roadmap for this explainer. We'll be hitting 1. Decoding embedded questions, 2. The toolkit, 3. Handling WH and yes-no, 4. Advanced verbs and academic use, 5. Avoiding common grammar traps, and finally, 6. The final transformation challenge.
Let's get right into it. Section 1. Decoding embedded questions. To fix a habit, you kind of have to catch it in the wild first, right? So let's figure out what's actually holding us back.
So, what is this exactly? The absolute most crucial thing to understand is that an embedded question is basically a question hiding inside a larger sentence. And it acts as a barrier to clear, direct statements. It's what happens when you take a simple question and wrap it up in polite but completely unnecessary introductory phrasing. Think of it like wrapping a tiny package in way too much bubble wrap. Sure, it's polite, but it takes literally forever to get to the actual point. In everyday conversation, that's totally fine. But in an academic or professional setting, that extra padding just completely dilutes what you're trying to say.
This right here perfectly captures that before and after effect. Notice how the questioning vibe totally disappears on the right, but the core information beautifully remains. On the left, could you tell me, acts as that conversational bubble wrap. If you're writing a research paper or standing up for a boardroom presentation, you definitely don't want to ask the audience to tell you something, you just want to state the facts. By stripping away that question, you arrive at the incredibly clear authoritative statement on the right. She lives in London.
Section 2. The toolkit. So how do we make this leap reliably every single time? Well, it's not just about guessing. We actually have a mechanical process for this.
Take a look at this exact formula we use to extract the statement. I want you to imagine mentally color-coding these steps. First up, you slash that introductory phrase. Those polite openers just have to go. Second, you flip the punctuation at the end, trading in that questioning hook for a decisive, firm full stop. And third, which is arguably the most important piece of the puzzle, you lock the standard statement word order in place. Absolutely no subject-verb inversion here.
Section 3. Handling WH and yes-no questions. Let's move into some of the nuances here and see how this builds when we run into different types of questions.
First up, we've got our WH questions. Who, what, where, when, why. Look at the phrase on the left. I wonder where she went. For these, we strip away that introductory I wonder, but we also swap out the question word where because, well, we are providing the actual answer now. This leaves behind a remarkably clean C1 level academic statement. She went to the library. It's the same if the original sentence was, say, can you tell me why they left? The pure statement simply becomes, they left because they were tired. Next, let's tackle yes-no questions. These are the ones that typically rely on the words if or whether. Like, do you know whether he passed? With these, we completely eliminate the if or whether when it's just getting in the way of the sleek fact hidden inside. You don't need to say whether, because you're stating the definitive outcome. He passed the examination.
Section 4. Advanced verbs and academic use. Let's step into a real-world professional scenario for a second. Imagine you're a scientist, or maybe a manager writing up a formal report. This is where this grammar transformation goes from being just a neat little trick to an absolutely vital professional skill. Here, the reporting verb investigated frames the embedded question. Now, the sentence on the left, grammatically acceptable, sure, but it only describes the act of researching. If you want to report the actual findings in your conclusion, we need to smoothly polish this into a professional statement. You drop the reporting frame and state the fact directly. Social media influences adolescent behavior in several measurable ways. Listen to that. It sounds significantly more confident, doesn't it? Here is another really brilliant example. The committee questioned whether the proposal was financially viable. Notice how deleting the clunky questioned whether part immediately elevates the authority and the directness of the sentence. If you are writing a final executive summary, you're going to skip the questioning phase entirely and just deliver the verdict. The proposal was financially viable. Section 5. Avoiding common grammar traps. Okay, we definitely need to dive into the pitfalls here, because honestly, even advanced learners stumble on the dreaded word order inversion. I'm going to pause for just a second.
I want you to look really closely at the verb placement here and see if you can mentally fix it. Actually, read it out loud to yourself. She asked where was he. Does it sound just a little bit off?
So, the absolutely crucial point here is that we must never use question word order in the embedded statement. The subject he has to come before the verb was. It has to be she asked where he was. When you use the inverted was he, your brain is basically trying to ask a direct question inside a sentence that's already functioning as a statement, and things get messy.
Let's try one more error check. I want you to act as your own editor for a moment. What needs to change here to make this structurally sound? Think back to those rules we just discussed about statement word order.
This structural breakdown perfectly highlights exactly why keeping the standard statement word order, subject before verb, is so vital. Is he is a question. He is a statement. Therefore, the correct form is, do you know if he is coming? It's a tiny switch in word placement, but getting it right signals a very high level of English proficiency.
Section 6, the Final Transformation Challenge. All right, let's lock in everything we've learned with a synthesis and a quick test.
I want you to take a mental snapshot of this table. It's really the ultimate visual proof of how clunky questions transform into concise professional statements. Look at the transition from, "Can you tell me how this works?" to the super precise engineering statement, "This works by using hydraulic pressure." Or moving from, "Do you know whether they agreed?" to the definitive boardroom fact, "They agreed unanimously." That right column? That is the exact tone you want for advanced academic and business communication.
Just to recap our toolkit lightning fast before your final test, drop the intro, fix the word order so the subject comes before the verb, ditch the if or whether, freeze the tense so it matches the original context, and always end with a full stop instead of a question mark.
Okay, final challenge. Imagine someone asks you this in a high-stakes Cambridge C1 speaking exam, or maybe a really important job interview. They ask, "Could you tell me where you studied English?" I'll give you 3 seconds to formulate your sleek, direct statement in your head.
And there it is. By ditching that conversational intro, you've just delivered a perfectly polished academic-level response. You didn't repeat their clunky framing, you just confidently stated the facts. I studied English at an international language institute. Boom! That is exactly how you command a conversation.
So, now that you actually have the tools to extract direct statements from all those messy, polite questions, how are you going to use this to elevate your next piece of professional writing? The next time you find yourself typing out, "Researchers questioned whether," challenge yourself to strip it all back and just state exactly what they found. It's your turn to make your words count. So I'll leave you with this. If embedded questions hide the truth, what powerful statements will you uncover in your next academic essay?